You ever leave a party or just a casual get-together feeling more tired than when you showed up? And I don't mean physically tired, but like mentally completely drained? Well, it turns out there's a really fascinating reason for that, and it's all happening inside your brain. We're going to break it down.
I mean, it's a question we've all probably asked ourselves at some point, right? You're just chatting about the weather or what you did over the weekend. Pretty simple stuff. So why on earth can it sometimes feel like you've just run a marathon in your head?
And here's the best part. It's not you. It's not a sign that you're antisocial or awkward or bad at conversation. The real answer has nothing to do with social skills and everything to do with your brain chemistry. What you're feeling is a totally real biological thing.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to first talk about a certain type of mind. And listen, this isn't about being smarter or better than anyone else. It's simply about how your brain is literally wired to take in and process information. So, this type of profile is what some people call a deep thinker. And what's so interesting here is that it's not just, a preference for certain topics. It's a fundamental craving for substance, something your brain can really sink its teeth into, instead of just, noise.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. So on one hand, you've got your shallow talk. It's repetitive, it's super easy to process, we call that noise. But then you have deep talk. That's the complex, stimulating stuff, the depth. And believe me, your brain knows the difference and it reacts in a big way.
All right, so how does this craving for depth actually play out inside your skull? Let's zoom in from that social feeling to the nitty-gritty biology. What is actually going on in your brain when you're stuck in small talk?
The key to this whole thing, it comes down to one single, super powerful chemical. And I guarantee you've heard of it. It's the stuff that's behind your motivation, your focus, that awesome feeling you get when you finally figure something out.
Yep, we're talking about dopamine. But here's the thing you have to get. Your brain doesn't just hand out dopamine for stuff like eating a good meal or winning a video game. It also releases it as a reward for thinking, specifically for chewing on new and complex information. It's your brain's way of giving you a little pat on the back and saying, hey, keep doing that. This is good stuff.
Okay, so let's connect the dots here. On one side, you have this craving for depth. On the other, you've got the brain's dopamine reward system. And right where those two things meet, that's where you find both the magic and, yeah, the misery of small talk.
So here's exactly how it goes down, step by step. First, your brain gets hit with that shallow, repetitive information from small talk. Because it's so simple, your brain just processes it in a snap with basically zero effort. So what happens? The brain's reward center just shuts off the dopamine faucet. It says, nope, nothing new here, moving on. And the result? You're left feeling totally understimulated.
I mean, to put it really simply, your brain gets bored. It's literally being starved of the one thing it finds rewarding. Think of it like trying to run a Ferrari on watered-down gas. It's just not going to work. Your brain, that high-performance engine, just kind of stalls out.
Okay, this brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. We get the chemistry, right? But why does that feeling of understimulation feel so draining, like you're completely wiped out?
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of it. The science shows that the brain doesn't just register this lack of stimulation as boredom. No, it registers it as being mentally painful. It is a genuine state of distress for your brain.
So that feeling, that total exhaustion you feel after a bunch of small talk, it is not just in your head. I mean, it is, but it's a real physiological response. It's your brain literally running on empty, just starved of the complex, juicy information it needs to feel alive.
All right, so let's recap the whole thing. Small talk doesn't give your brain much new info to work with. Because it's so easy to process, your brain hits the brakes on that dopamine reward. This lack of stimulation feels incredibly draining, sometimes even, painful. And the biggest takeaway here, this is about a neural need for depth. It is not, and I repeat, not a social failing on your part.
So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. Now that you know your brain is literally chasing that dopamine hit from complex information, ask yourself, what kind of conversations truly light your mind on fire? What topics, what questions, what people leave you feeling energized instead of drained? Because figuring that out, well, that's the key to feeding your brain exactly what it's hungry for.